I knew the king jellyfish was big, but who knew he had such a beautiful voice?
Hello, everybody, to another DualShockers discussion. This time we're going to be talking about SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, the newest game from THQ Nordic, which brings back a platformer from 17 years ago with a new fresh coat of paint, which doesn't always look that fresh in my opinion, but we'll talk about that. I'm Logan Moore. I'm managing editor here at DualShockers, and joining me for today's episode and wearing the appropriate attire is Cam Hawkins. Cam, hi.
How's it going? We're here to talk about SpongeBob.
We are here to talk about SpongeBob.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Mario, are you ready? Mario Rivera is also here.
You know what? I thought I wouldn't be, but I did have a good time. I can't say that I didn't. I did spend a lot of time actually enjoying this game. So I'm excited to see how we're going to talk about this.
Clearly, you haven't played the multiplayer.
No, I have not.
Antithesis of a good time. It's whatever. It's just kind of there. So yeah, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. If you are listening to this the day it goes out or in the vicinity of when it's going out, the game's coming out this week. THQ Nordic bought the rights to this game. Surprise! I don't know if they bought the rights to the game specifically or the IP or something.
I think it's like the Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it's something weird. It's something like that. And this is the first Nickelodeon game I think they've released in this lineup. And this is the one that I know a lot of people were asking for them to actually bring back. Because believe it or not, people like this platformer from back in the day, even though it's a licensed product and not a lot of licensed games are typically very good. This is one that is kind of the exception. Cam, so you reviewed this for us. We're recording this kind of out of order, but your reviews, you gave it a 7 out of 10. You said it was good. You said it was very driven on nostalgia, though. What do you think of it overall, I guess?
Oh, yeah. So I think that people... I just want to say, yeah, I'm one of those people that really was looking forward to this from the get-go, and I think that it being run by nostalgia isn't particularly a bad thing in this case because that is what people wanted from this game. That's what I wanted from this game. I wasn't expecting Final Fantasy VII remake from this remake. I was expecting just a fresh coat of paint, some updated tweaks, and the same kind of experience, which is exactly what it is. I think it is like is one of the best definitions of a 7 out of 10 game. So that being said, yeah, I think that the visuals of this game, for the most part, look great. I think the environments look great. I think SpongeBob looks great, as well as Patrick and Sandy. I don't think the rest of the main cast of characters that you see throughout the game look very great, like Mr. Krabs, Plankton, Squidward, Mrs. Puff. I think they definitely still have that look of a PlayStation 2, like those old school polygons of design. And I don't, I said in my review, I think that they wanted to make that the case. Like they wanted to try and make it as true to the original as possible. They wanted to do right by it because for its time, it was very much a very good 3D platformer. I don't remember a whole lot of the original, but the amount of references that this game has, as someone who just references SpongeBob in normal conversations all of the time, it has references out of the wazoo. Everywhere you look, almost every other sentence that is mentioned is some sort of SpongeBob reference from the television show, in ways that for the most of the time, I wouldn't say all the time, but most of the time make sense and fit the actual conversation that they're having. So yeah, I think it's really solid. I think it for what it's trying to do, it very much still feels and plays like a PS2 platformer. It's very straightforward in what your objectives are in the game, which are to collect, I'm assumingly 100 golden spatulas. By the time I finished the game, I believe I had 76 or 77. It's really great. I enjoyed it.
Mario, you didn't finish it, but you played more than I did. Where'd you kind of come down on it?
I came down on it because I actually do remember playing this as a kid. I did remember having this game on PS2 before my PS2 exploded, which is a whole ordeal, especially if you know about the disc problem from back in the day. But basically, the game definitely, I think, hinges definitely on nostalgia. What I will say is that I don't think we get enough of these kind of games a lot. The last one that I've noticed that's definitely coming out, which is gonna be like a Ratchet and Clank, or even I would say Sackboy game that's gonna be coming out for the PS5. Like just sort of just platformers, just fun, goofy stuff. I don't think we get enough of these games, and so it's funny because I'm playing this game a week before I play Last of Us, which is going to be the biggest juxtaposition in tone. So I will say it is very nice to have this palate cleanser of a game. How undifficult I think it is. I felt like I was blazing through it. I think if I was a kid, I probably would have a harder time, like I probably did when I was younger. But I felt like I was breezing through, so the difficulties to me is not there. That's fine. It's a SpongeBob game. I'm not expecting that much. I will say playing as certain characters and some of their abilities I don't think are like particularly that interesting when you play as Patrick Star or if you're even playing as SpongeBob, really. The only person that to me plays the best and plays the most fun, only because she does some really cool stuff, is Sandy. Sandy actually is a lot of fun when you actually get to play her because she has a lot of cool abilities with the rope mechanic, the fact that she could basically fly. She's basically a flying squirrel in the game. Of course, she has a great part in the city part where you're traversing up buildings. And I think that is actually where I was getting the most fun, was when I was just having these levels expand when I was playing with her specifically. And I assume that that's how the feeling is if I continue playing the game, that I'll get that with other characters. I'm not sure how many characters you can play in the game. Right now, I know I've played at least 3. Is there any more than that?
No, so it's just SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I agree. Like Sandy's really fun, and I don't think I think you might have you gotten the bubble bowl power?
Yeah, I did.
Yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you get one more power after that, and that's that definitely makes. You're saying like that you kind of are breezing through it up to, and I know where you're at the point in the levels, and I agree. It definitely is really easy in the beginning, but once you get to because there's like 3 main hub areas. There's like Bikini Bottom, and then there's downtown. Is it downtown? Is it like the main?
Well, there's the downtown. I don't know if it has like separate levels that you can unlock. Like how you can pay like.
Oh, okay, yeah. No. So there's there's Bikini Bottom. I forgot what the middle one is, and then there's like
there's one by Sandy's house. I know that because there's other levels.
Yeah, by Sandy's house. Yeah, it's like downtown where there's like the bank and everything like that. Yeah. That's the second hub world, and then there's like the Krusty Krab, the Chum Bucket, like in that area, the levels there are legitimately like there were times where I was just like, I feel like I have enough golden spatulas where I don't need to finish this level. I can just go back because I literally was actually having some difficulties figuring out where I was supposed to go. And I found out later it's just like, oh, that's just somewhere that's in this area that you get to once you finish the whole area. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, I should have just, kept going the way I did. But it actually like is the design in certain areas later on actually made me think like, wow, this is actually like somewhat challenging. For a 3D platformer, it is designed for kids, and I think that it has that perfect difficulty for kids. So
for sure, and I absolutely see that. In terms of storytelling, it's just a run of the mill, IP game, right? It's just an IP, and then you just got to collect the things, or you got to do the things, and here's all the people that you know and love, which is cool. Some of the voice acting, I don't know if it's from the original game or if they redid it. It sounds very much like it was from the original game.
Yeah, so so all the voiceover was remastered from the original game.
Okay.
Because we don't have Clancy Brown's Mr. Krabs, which is immediately
he was very noticeable.
Immediately, noticeable, as well as Ernest Borgnine, I think his last name is. Who voices Mermaid Man.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he's passed away. So, but I feel like THQ Nordic could have been like, "Hey, Clancy, you want to come in and redo these lines so they sound like you and not someone that like completely doesn't sound like Mr. Krabs?"
Not at all.
I don't want to like feel bad for give crap to that voice actor, but like they don't sound anything
he's
like.
He's got enough
Mr.
Shawshank
Krabs.
money, so he's like, yeah, I don't need to do this. Or
That's basically.
Well, he still voices the character in the show because right.
Is the show still going on?
I mean, so he's
canceled.
used to recording lines for Mr. Krabs probably at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah,
and there's probably not that many Mr. Krabs lines in the game, I would imagine. So
I mean,
I don't know.
he comes up pretty often. Actually, normally like in each hub world, you run into Squidward, Mrs. Puff, or in Mr. Krabs at least once, in one of the worlds that you go to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And he also talked to him when you have to give him that coral currency to buy spatulas from him. But yeah,
I wonder if it's I wonder if the reason for that is like what is it called
thing?
when you the what? Well, maybe that, but also
money.
What's it called when you get money for something like way after?
Royalty?
Yes, I wonder if it's like a
Royalties?
royalties thing where the person who did the voice acting for this is like still going to get royalties when this game comes out.
maybe that's definitely
That
possible.
might be something like that, honestly.
Yeah. But I mean, it's cool that like most of the voice cast is there. But like, I definitely feel like just even if it is a royalty thing, like I still feel like, hey, just redo this voice. We can still pay this guy for his work. Like,
he's
I don't know.
literally in like what is it, Thor 3 for like 10 seconds. He plays a monster in the beginning, the monster at the end, and that's it. He could have at least done this.
Yeah. So, but that's probably like my main gripe with the game. Other issues is like when you fall off the map, like it'll like
it's kind of annoying.
SpongeBob will like sometimes like stutter, and then you'll see like the human hand try and like grab him, and then like even before that even happens, you're already respawning, and I'm just like like the screen goes dark, and I'm like, I get that like you're trying to do that really cool SpongeBob reference here, but then you like interrupt it. And then it's like, SpongeBob is just like all over the place. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes. Enough times worth mentioning.
No, for sure. Speaking of that, though, the load times in this game suck. And they're boring and awful.
The loading screens are really like bland. Like that was like the strangest thing to me. It's just like a gray screen.
Gray screen, nothing else.
Okay, you're right, but I mean, maybe it's because I played on a one. Like, I know you.
I'm playing on an Xbox.
1X.
I'm playing on a Steam, I guess, but I guess it's that majorly different. Where, I sure, but for any standard slim Xboxes, it's still really long.
It normally took me like 2 seconds, maybe.
No,
I mean, it wasn't like super long for me either.
I'm gonna show a video where it took. I was counting. It was like 40 seconds, and I'm like, why is this taking so long?
That is definitely
that's really bizarre.
Yeah, that's definitely an outlier.
No, 100%. But I was just like, these are boring because it's just bubbles, which I'm like, okay. Then the music stops, and then nothing happens.
Yeah,
and then it's an extended period of time.
I mean that's interesting to me. Through my experience, load times were pretty instantaneous.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Sounds like you need to upgrade to the most powerful console in the world, Mario.
You're right. I should probably do that. Or is this game on PC?
Coming to Series X.
Well, there we go.
I think
put on my SSD.
I think that those that are planning on getting this game are going to get exactly what they want, and they're going to be happy with what they got. In that sense. So yeah.
I guess to jump in with my own experience, you guys are further along than I am. I'm still pretty early on in the game. I've been actually jumping around to some other things this week. But I think the thing for me is like I have a lot of nostalgia for SpongeBob too, the show especially. But I never played this specific game back in the day, so I was curious how it was going to click with me. As like, oh yeah, I like platformers a lot, and I like SpongeBob, and so will this automatically be something that clicks with me like right away? And I would say that it didn't initially. Again, I'm still fairly early in the experience, all things considered, but it has felt pretty rudimentary going back to those kind of PS2 era style platformers from 15 years ago. Sure. So I think if anybody is looking at this from the outside looking in and is like, I never played that, I'll give that a shot. Like, it is very much worth noting, like, it's still a 15-year-old game, like, and it's, 17-year-old game specifically. Mario counting the actual years?
No, I'm counting. No, because I died. Because I'm showing footage of the game, and I'm counting how long it's. I'm 14 seconds, and then I came back.
But then also, But it's also worth mentioning that this is a $30 game.
For sure.
Yeah, it is way cheaper. Yeah. Which is good. I mean, that's a great thing.
$60 game, I would be like, no, like this is not worth your $60. But $30, I think, is the perfect price for the type of experience that this is.
And this game supports HDR. Is that correct?
I don't think so, actually.
I thought I saw, because I was looking up for the logo stuff, and I thought I saw something that said HDR. And if it does, I was playing on a 4K television, even though it wasn't outputted to 4K, it still looks really great. Like the colors in the game pop amazingly.
Yes, I agree completely. I played on 4K HDR television. I didn't see the HDR thing pop up when I started the game.
I didn't either.
Sure.
So I don't think
it never asked me to calibrate or anything like that. So,
Got it.
And usually it always does.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with what Cam said earlier about the textures being kind of iffy on some of the characters, and the animations look a little stiff as well. The game altogether controls a little bit stiff at times, but I think that's just how it kind of controls.
When it comes to SpongeBob and his swing, like you can time it perfectly where like if 4 people are running at you, you can hit all of them, but at the very least there is a pause to it. Like there's an actual like framing to it. So it can feel stiff if you're not timing it correctly, but ultimately there is a timing. I say to SpongeBob.
I mean, I'm saying this all by modern standards too.
Sure,
what are the platformers we've received over the past few years? Super Mario Odyssey. So it's like a real like what's that gif of the kid like wigging out with his eyes rolling in the back of his head? It's kind of like that going from something like Super Mario Odyssey to this.
It's definitely and that's why I think like I don't. It's kind of like this middle ground between a remaster and a remake. Like there is new content, and they did do like the new models and everything from the ground up and everything like that. But like, I don't know. I think again, like just using the same voice lines and stuff like that, which I think all of them are fine outside of the ones that just aren't the same voice actor from the show.
The best one is Patrick saying, "Show enough, Mrs. Puff." That is the best line in the game.
But even outside of like, I say this in my review that because there's so many references out of the wazoo, like the imagination box is how you teleport and things like that because you were able to do that with your imagination, and but then there's a point where you go through this cave, and I don't know if it was in the original game, but I'd like to believe it wasn't. But they have the SpongeBob caveman meme, literally just like that, of him on the wall there. And I took a picture of it, and it's like in the review, so you'll see it. And then like you are in this art museum in Rock Bottom, and like very, very subtle. I just kind of happened to come across it, but there's like a picture of handsome Squidward, a reference that wasn't even in. Like that wasn't even an episode yet when the game came out originally that they added into the game, which I think is a really cool touch.
Yeah, you can see it in his house too, which was really cool.
Yeah. I and that's what Logan told me. I didn't see. I didn't go into Squidward's house. I didn't realize that you could go inside because I tried to go into Patrick's house, and it wouldn't let me go into Patrick's house.
Really? It made me go right away.
Really?
Yeah, you can go right away. All it is just a seat that you can hit, and there's a sock underneath it. I mean, that's literally it. That's all that's in there. Yeah, you can go in there immediately, and then
I tried to go in there.
Oh yeah, 100%. You can go in there and you can get a sock, and then if you go to Squidward's, what I love is he has this giant painting of himself, and then if you swipe at it, the changes to like a mustache.
Puts a mustache on his face.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just there's so many like fun Easter eggs in the game and things like that. It's just with the gameplay being, I think just like the game, even though it's mainly from the original team, the game just has so many references. It's like I think it's one of the best games that takes full use of its license that it's got in all good ways. So I can tell that based off like the kind of new things that they put into the campaign specifically, that the studio wanted to do right by this game, by the original team, and recreating it now. So
let's
talk about the multiplayer here.
I was gonna say let's talk about the one like actually super new thing in the game, which is multiplayer, which I don't think we have a whole lot to say, so there's no reason to hash it out forever. But Cam and I played this yesterday for a little bit, and man, it is not great. It's pretty rudimentary.
Very bare bones.
Yeah, just let's take the one aspect of the game that is like objectively not very great to begin with, which is just combat. It's combat in the main game is as simple as press X to kill thing, and now let's create an entire game mode out of that where you're killing endless waves of enemies. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a basic horde mode, I guess. I guess it ends after 26 waves, according to what I've read on the internet now.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, we played up to wave up to island 25, which is like I think 2 or 3 waves per island, and then we ended up quitting because we thought that it just didn't end. And then Logan found an official trailer in the fucking description. I'm sorry for my language.
This is for kids, Cam. I was gonna mark this
sorry.
safe for children.
I'm sorry. You can bleep me out or something.
bleep them out with one of the SpongeBob swear with the dolphin noise or whatever.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll do.
exactly that.
Hold on, I gotta mark
Exactly
it.
that.
20 minutes in. Okay, thank you.
And then we decided to quit. And then and he's just like, in the description of the video it says 26 islands. Specifically, it says 26 islands, and I was just like, that's such a specific number, and we quit at 25 because I was like, if it's not gonna be 25, it's gonna be 30, and like Logan had to leave.
I had to leave, and I was like, 25 seems like a good round number. If this is not the final one, we'll just quit. And we're like,
And the thing that's stupid,
26 is the last one.
And they didn't even post that. It was like, this is the last level.
No, like there's no visual indicators saying like you have this many to go. It was just very much like you get into it, you choose your character, and then it's just
and
like you just keep fighting things, and that's it.
And even with the regardless or not that you can that there's an end, or if it's never ending, if you both die, you still keep going. Like there's no penalty for losing. And I know I understand it's for kids. Like this is like the audience for this is for kids. But it's also like, okay, but kids can just learn to get better. Like I don't know. And then
there's only one map too, I think.
Yeah, there's one map as far as we could tell. And like, so you can play as on top of SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy, you can play as Gary. I don't know. We didn't try it out, but you can play as
I actually
Gary.
Looked at it. He's got shoes from the episode where he ties his shoelaces.
He ties his shoes.
That's awesome.
So yeah, you got the shoes. Oh no, so it's Gary, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, Mrs. Puff, I think.
Oh,
maybe
Mrs. Puff all day.
Or
Let's
Plankton.
go.
Plankton was the other one.
Plankton
How do you
was
play
the
as
other one.
him? He's so small.
He Robo-Plankton. He controls a robot.
He controls a robot. Yeah,
Okay.
and they get rid of like all of your abilities. Like so Patrick can't throw, like there's no fruit anyway, but like I played as Patrick in the first in the one round that we played, and he played Mr. Krabs. And all you can do is your basic hack and slash move and your down B, or that makes you do like a belly flop or like, a stomp attack basically.
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't, like, we even tried to play as SpongeBob. I tried and play as SpongeBob in the beginning just to for another round just to see if he still had his powers.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. He has his fishing net, and he can do the stomp, and that's it.
Gotcha.
I'm just wow. It's so bare bones. And then we had connection issues too, where we would just get hit out of nowhere, and we have no idea why. I teleported like more than once on stage into the goo, automatically killing me.
Yeah.
It was not great.
I see.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen a lot, but it happened enough worth mentioning.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just one, and also it's one of those things where yes, it's a multiplayer mode, but you could definitely allow it so that people could do this by themselves, and you can't do that. Because I was going to try to do the SpongeBob thing by myself, but it wouldn't let me. So I asked Logan right before he was going to go, hey, can you just quickly hop in one more game with me just so I can see if SpongeBob has his bubble powers? And he didn't. So yeah, it's very bare bones, very like do it once to say that you beat it and then never do it again. unless you're
Do it
playing
once
with,
to say you got to the wave before and then quit.
yeah, unless you're playing with like your kids, or or kids playing it, they'll enjoy it, I'm sure, because they're not thinking as critically as we are.
Yeah.
But for someone that's like me, who grew up with SpongeBob and like the golden age of SpongeBob, they're like the multiplayer is rough. Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Like I want to play
so
it.
multiplayer.
I
Not
want to
great.
play it one more time just to beat it, just to like potentially pop achievements or something like that.
I was gonna say there's one achievement. I looked at all the achievements and there wasn't any for multiplayer except there's one hidden secret achievement that I couldn't look at, and it said 0% of people have gotten this.
Oh,
so if it is
no.
tied to multiplayer, nobody in the world has seen Wave 26 through to the end.
On Xbox, at least, because
On
I
Xbox.
also want to say on record, I was the first person to beat the game on Xbox.
Did it ping and say 0% of people?
0.00%, dog. World first.
Oh,
World premiere, exclusive. So yeah, I think that's about it. I don't know how much else there is to say about this, unless you guys want to chime in with anything else.
Nope. I kind of said what I have to say. I think it's solid. I think it's exactly what I think it's exactly what fans want from this game. It is more or less what I expected it to be. Like I went into this with like an idea of where I thought the score scale was going to range, and it did end up hitting that point. So
I guess the only thing that I would bring up, and it's similar to bringing back old games back to life, giving them new life, like the Crash game and like the Spyro game. Now, I actually don't even know the numbers on those, if they're successful or if they're like, I mean, at the very least, Crash then also got CTR.
Crash was definitely successful.
So,
I think they were successful, unfortunately.
No, I still love those games. Whatever you say, Logan. And I played a little bit of Spyro, and Spyro looked really great. Now, do you think there will be enough interest where they're like, you know what? I know this is a remake, obviously, of an older game. Would they do a sequel or do a total reimagining and maybe making the graphics better, bringing Clancy Brown back? Would you want that in general?
SpongeBob become human.
There you go.
I would honestly rather them work on different like Nickelodeon games. Like I would love a
Rugrats.
Rocket Power Beach Bandits.
No, PS1 Rugrats game, so we could play mini golf in the middle of the game. 100%.
I didn't play that, but like Rocket Power Beach Bandits is a legitimately really fun like action adventure type game. Really great.
What was the one where it was like Nickelodeon Marvel Ultimate Alliance? Was that like Nicktoons Unite or whatever? You guys remember
Nicktoons
that one?
Unite? Yeah.
Great.
I'm not saying. Hey, here's the thing. I'm not saying no to Rugrats. Rugrats is like the one Nickelodeon show I love more than SpongeBob.
Sure.
Like I love Rugrats.
You got to find an emulator. You got to play that game right now.
I remember that game. My neighbor had that game when I was a kid. Mario.
The Rugrats level, the mini golf level.
Wasn't there a
is the
level
best.
with the goose and you could get his teeth or something like that?
Yep,
Yeah.
yes, there was. That game's great.
So yeah, but yeah, I really like this game. I think it's worth $30. It's worth like the one-time playthrough. And for those SpongeBob fans, I think they will enjoy themselves.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you at home for watching us and listening to what we have to say about the SpongeBob SquarePants. If you want to read Cam's full written review, you should be able to find it down in the description for this video down below. So be sure to check that out. Also, if you aren't already, be sure to follow us over at DualShockers.com to read everything else we've got going up. You can also subscribe to this channel to keep in touch with all of the future DualShockers discussions we will be doing. We've got some cool things coming up in the next few weeks. That is all I can say about that. So be sure to keep an eye out for what we have on the horizon, and subscribing is the best way to keep in the loop with all that stuff. As for everybody else here on the panel, you can find me if you want to keep in touch with me. I am over on Twitter at Moreman12. You can find Cam. He is at the Cinephile Guy. And you can follow Mario. He is at that Mario Rivera. And then you can follow DualShockers on Twitter at DualShockers as well. I think that's it. Unless you guys have any last second things you would like to say.
Other than I think I saw a toast when I was playing this game. That was about it.
Full team rules.
Gold team rules. Anyway, thank you for watching. We will see you around here next time. Until then, stay safe. Bye.